Welcome back to the OTB podcast, the original and still the best New Zealand mountain bike podcast, brought to you by Maxxis Tyres, New Zealand's tyre of choice. And what a way to start this show, just completely on brand. Chris gets up and walks out of his seat right as we hit record. But I mean, what else would we expect?
He's back.
Hold on.
He's made it back. No, geez, he's making a racket as well. Thanks, mate. We're back. It feels like it's been a while, guys. I mean, maybe I've just put the walker as a distant memory, but it feels like it's been a few weeks.
Just like Stain said, it has been a while, Kerry.
It has. It's been a while. I've got a story I've got to tell you. I got home this evening and I could hear a Dremel going at the neighbours, like quite aggressively. And then drills and Dremel and drills going again. And neighbour's a cyclist and we know each other. And then I get a message. Hey, have you got any decent drill bits to drill into the headset of a Canyon?
Oh.
So I go stand up on the trampoline, do the Wilson from Home Improvement, pop my head over the fence.
Were you standing up on the trampoline or bouncing on the trampoline? Looking over. Hello.
No, so I stood up. There's a Canyon air road over there, and they've just got a drill going ham into the back of the steerer tube, what it looks like. So I grab the drill, grab my set of drills, head on over there. We've got a real operation going on. So a classic, one of these classic bullshit integrated cables through the stem, down through the steerer type situations going on. Instead of just having a nice, simple stem that's done up tight with a, star nut, the classic, it's got this stupid proprietary wedge system going on in there. The bolt's fucked. The headset's half cut apart. They've cut part of the headset out.
Oh my God.
And so in the end, we'd drilling, trying to drill this bolt out, and it's kind of not really working. We got punch in there trying to get through it, and just absolute debacle until we finally just put an Allen key. There is a hole down through the top to kind of I guess to tension it before you do this wedge up. So we get an Allen key down through the top and start hammering, finally get the thing apart. But what a classic move for a Thursday evening. Just
so
punching.
You just going ham on like a TT bike or a road bike, or what's the deal here?
It was an aero road bike. It's pretty high in Canyon. We're drilling shit out. The Dremel's in there. We've got a flathead screwdriver in there trying to bash parts out. We got there in the end.
Question for you, KB, is
the bike just did Tour of Southland too. So
So at what point though, in a situation like that, because I've been there before and I think I've learned from this. At what point do you just get a guy in? You go, I've been doing this for too long. I'm going to go and get a guy.
We were committed. I was willing to run late for the podcast to see through this thing. I wanted to see the end of it. I was invested by that point, and I wanted to see that thing out.
Has the whole head tube just come off? It's just locked it off.
So I did suggest that we just cut the head tube off because it's probably going to come off it anyway at some point. But front fell off.
Yeah, good.
But we got there in the end. So that was my Thursday evening. It was pretty good.
Good stuff.
Nice gold.
What's been going on with you guys? Doing any 300k rides or 200k rides or anything? Or how long was that ride that you?
Not in sort of recent memory. I've sort of blacked that one out.
Yeah, fair. I would too.
What were you thinking?
No, it was great. It was great fun.
We need to fill in the listeners, all three of them. That's you guys. On what Red Dog and I actually did. And Caddy's mum. Holla. So Red Dog and I went down to... I'm just assuming that she'll... I don't know.
Smooth.
She's not Mexican, but it's all right.
I thought maybe she was South Auckland, Samoan rapper.
Nah.
Anyway.
I thought you were sorry, I just want to wind that. I thought you were like flirting through the airwaves for a second there, Lester. Is that how you move?
Exactly. That's how I roll.
Is that how you do it? When you met your wife? But you did as well because you would. How old were you when you met your wife?
couldn't tell you. 20, I don't know, late 20s.
So like peak quiet chaos days, right? And probably BMX days. Shit, I bet you were smooth. I bet you were so
probably
cool.
was too. Yeah, yeah.
And I bet you gave it the big holler from across the street.
I was cool.
And she's on her way to like a legitimate professional job, and you were just cruising along the street on the 20-inch, and you're just like, holla!
And you know what? He would have had some Havoc streetwear on as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
He would have been on his way to
Exception t-shirt.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, shit, that's good.
Totally.
Sorry, I digress.
Anyway, now that we've
You guys did a
delved
ride
into my history, we don't need to do a Lester Perry in the hot seat anymore. You've just blown on my secret.
This is the stories.
That's all you need to know.
Anyway, Red Dog and I went down and did the Petite Brevet, which is a race for predominantly old men and younger, cool guys on bikes with baskets and handlebars.
Isn't a brevet not a race though?
It's not a race. Did I call it a race? It's definitely not a race.
Is it kind of like isn't it like a Gran Fondo not a race, but now they have like a Gran Fondo World Champs?
Exactly.
Yeah, what's the difference between a Gran Fondo and a brevet?
What is a Gran Fondo?
A brevet is like more of a longer thing, isn't it? I don't know. Do we need
You're
to
the
consult
expert here.
ChatGPT? I'm definitely
Yeah,
no
ask ChatGPT.
All I saw was that there's this 300k ride that you can go and do with 10,000 or just shy of 10,000 meters vertical elevation gained. And for some reason, Red Dog thought it was a good idea to get a crew of 5 of us together and go and do it. So we went and knocked it off.
Yeah, we did.
We all finished. We did. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't get through their first one. So play by play.
Yeah.
6 a.m. we roll out from.
So you've flown into Christchurch by bike in a bag, yeah?
We flew down. Yep, we didn't ride down.
On what, Friday night?
I flew down Friday lunchtime, and a little sidebar. Built my bike at Christchurch Airport. Put my bag in the baggage storage place there, my bike bag, and chucked my backpack on. Rode to my brother's house in central Christchurch. Stayed there the night, and then got up very early the next morning and met Red Dog and the boys at some park. And then we got stuck in at 6 a.m.
Hanson Park?
Hanson Park. Used to go run around there.
Did you?
Yeah, a good place for a run.
Yeah.
Did you hang out at the toilets there? Public toilets?
Not often. Sometimes, but not often.
That's where we started.
Yep.
So the key differences between a Gran Fondo and a Brevet, according to ChatGPT. Gran Fondo, competitive, timed, fully supported. Brevet, non-competitive, self-reliant, and focused on endurance.
There you go. It ticked all those boxes.
For the readers, for the listeners.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That explains my fucker raps.
Red Dog, do you want to break down the course for us?
It looked awful.
You basically go up and over the Port Hills, go out to Hallsville, up and over the Port Hills, then you sort of head around Diamond Harbour, Poorau, up and over to Port Levy, and then up and over to Pigeon Bay, was it, Moki? And then up Pettigrews Road.
Yep.
Hit up Double Fence Line, which kind of is pestle on the tops-ish, and then drops down into Little River, and then up a gravel road to Hilltop, along the Summit Road. Where do you go down into? Little Akaloa, maybe?
Yeah, you go down there at one point.
Seems so easy.
Up and over to maybe O'Kane's, and then up and over to Le Bon's, and then out of there, and then across the Summit Road again and down into Akaroa. And
so
then
that was your first
day
day.
one. That was day one, yeah.
That was day one.
And how many Ks was that?
I think it was just under 170, 160 something.
Yeah,
I was reading.
And how much vertical though?
Over 6,000, I think.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Jesus.
That's me. And you, Red Dog, you did it on your gravel bike, and Lester, you did it on a hardtail, eh?
I did it on a hardtail, yeah, which was kind of interesting. So we, I had the little bit of inside intel from Joe Nation maybe a week out. I messaged him and I was like, what bike do I bring? And he said, definitely hardtail, because you want to be, at this point, I was sort of tentatively had the idea in my head that I was going to try and do the whole thing in one hit. And I set myself up a little bit to do it in one hit by not bringing any change of clothes with me or
that was
any
noted.
sleeping gear.
That was noted.
So,
yeah.
So so I bring the mountain bike, which was gold, and it paid dividends in some areas and certainly didn't in others. But once we hit the double fence line, I waved goodbye to all the boys, really.
That
just said goodbye.
Yeah.
See you later. Rode away from them because this is a mountain bike-esque trail.
No, if you can call it that, yeah.
I was wondering which way around that was, whether you waved by as they rode away from you or you rode away from them. So
no, it could have. I mean, it's definitely happened both ways through the weekend. We were a pretty cruisy crew. We regrouped after most of the climbs.
Yeah, they stopped and waited for me. It was pretty nice.
And then I had my fair share of being waited for as well. And then anyway, so we're dropping down into Akaroa. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go down. I'll go to the shop, probably have a feed with the boys, and then I'm just going to push on. And I'm just going to go until I kind of can't go anymore. And then I'm going to pull out my emergency bivvy bag out of my saddle bag and have a sleep on the side of the road.
Oh, so you had a bivvy with you?
I had a little, like, literally a plastic bag, kind of, one of those foil bags. And then, so we drop down, as we're dropping down into Akaroa, it starts to, like, get pretty stormy and windy and a bit rainy, and it was, like, getting actually cold. And by the time I got down into Akaroa, and we went to the Foursquare there, and it was, like, pretty squally, It was kind of like a bit of a storm.
It was cold, it got really windy, and it got pretty cold. It was like a southerly, and it was kind of drizzling.
Yeah. And then
sounds real inviting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was looking at what I'd taken to spend the night in, potentially down to like 4 degrees kind of thing in the wind and the rain. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Especially after talking to another guy who'd done it years before. And he was like, if I had an option, I would not be sleeping out. I'd go, because I was like, oh, we've got this Airbnb booked. What do I reckon I should do? And he was like, nah, go stay the night.
Sleep in the bed.
And so we rock up there. And of course, I didn't have any gear with me. Well, first of all, we had our burgers, which were pretty good.
Yeah, $5 each. Yeah.
They just opened up. What are you getting, a $5 burger?
I know.
They've gone back in time.
Go Red Dog. You give the hotline on the Red Dog.
Were these
is there
was
anything...
that €5 because you're in Akaroa?
No, it was just, it was euros. Yeah, this sort of burger fast food-ish joint, it was pretty fresh on the scene, I think. And they had a gourmet burger list, $15 each, right? Or like your classics list, and that was like your cheeseburgers, hamburgers, quite a series of them actually, for $5 each. Was there a Hawaiian burger in there? So you got a pineapple in that $5.
Yeah, you could have got 3.
You pay more for a coffee.
Here's the yarn.
So the boys, the first couple of boys, they get the gourmet spec ones, and then they'd run out of chips. So we doubled down and Moki and I just got 2 cheeseburgers, I think, each. And pretty much the same burgers came out in comparison to the gourmet spec ones. And Moki, like, same buns, same patties. So Moki and I were just laughing. It was fantastic. But no, we didn't get any chips, which was unfortunate.
No, but you got 2 burgers.
I've got a quick question before you carry on, Lester. So that's obviously been a pretty decent day as it was, and you're tucking into 2 real nice like gourmet burgers, but
juicy burgers
at a good price.
Yeah,
you're probably nice and warm. That bed's looking pretty inviting.
It was warm inside there. Yeah.
Is that a bad review for the MBU? Like, oh no, we were cold.
We were still we were eating our dinner at the place, at the little burger joint in our damp lycra.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and then by the time we left to go to the Airbnb, it was actually like grim.
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
Oh, so you sort of so you're dragging your ass back to the accommodation.
Yeah.
You've got there, you've settled in, it's nice and warm and dry, and I mean,
Moki's hanging out with no pants on.
You're growing mushrooms out of your nether regions, but like, what was there a part of you at that point that's just going, oh fuck, I'm not getting back on the bike. It's not happening.
Oh no, by that point I'd decided I wasn't going to. By that point I'd decided it wasn't going to happen.
Day.
And and I'll get to the point when I'll come back to that in a minute. But so we go back to the little place, and there was 2 beds, wasn't there? Yeah, 2 beds.
No, 2 single beds and a double queen.
2 single beds, a double, and then 2 mattresses on the floor.
Yeah,
and there was basically no other room on the floor once we put
was
the
just all
out.
man. Yeah.
So me and Mally, we were topping and tailing side by side on single mattresses. But to make matters a little more, risque, because I didn't have any clothes with me. Yeah, we had showers. Yeah.
Yeah,
because I didn't have any clothes though. I had to sleep with my towel wrapped around me. And hope that in the middle of the night, my towel didn't open up. So fortunately, I was once I went to sleep, I was completely comatose. And
KB, can you just quickly go back to GPT and check whether or not one of the other differences between a brevet and a gran fondo is nudity? I feel like, because both of these things sound like quite French activities, and I get the impression that if you're doing it properly, legitimately, the overnight stop, everyone's nude.
Well, ChatGPT actually tells me that Gran Fondo came out of Italy and the Brevet has come out of France.
Everyone's definitely nude. Yeah, in a Gran Fondo, everyone's nude.
Yeah, well, actually, I think you ride nude.
Me sitting there on the chair in the side of the room in the evening, chatting with the boys, having a cup of tea. It was probably a little bit. It was more like I'm sitting there in my towel. It was probably more like a Greek bathhouse than anything. If you picture a bald, hairy guy. Yeah. With the towel. That was me. Anyway, we had a good night's sleep. What other yarns were there from the night? Sleep. Yeah.
What was the state of the towel when you woke up? I
didn't actually check. I just took that bad boy off and slid right back into my seedy lycra.
Did you not even give it the wash and the towel wring out or anything?
Nah, I contemplated that, but I decided I wouldn't.
Didn't back it because we didn't have that much time.
No, we didn't have that much time. We had. I think we slept for 6 hours, which is way too much for hardened ultra races.
Lester, just before you go on, just want to put a pin in the towel and the lycra bit. As the science correspondent on the podcast, can I request that you go and find out officially how long it takes to dry a pair of washed bibs using the towel method? So for future reference, if it's a 3 hour, if you've got a 3 hour window, you'll come away with dry bibs. If you've only got 2 hour window, you can have damp bibs. People need to know this stuff.
Your bibs are going to be damp either way. I'd rather have them damp with a bit of clean water through them than damp with all your juice from the day before.
Yeah, and the dried, you pull them on.
The crust.
You've got the crust as if you've been standing. Oh, I won't even go there. But
see, this is why this is supposed to be a downhill podcast. This is we've gone so far off brand, guys.
But we got to
There's
show
no
the other
downhill
side
on at the moment,
cycling,
though.
Right?
We've got to do something in the off season.
So
this dude that set the fastest known time, a new fastest known time for this. I guess it's an event. I don't know. Call it an event. He did it in 14 hours and 48 minutes of moving time. That is cooked. I think he was, that was moving time, and then his total time was 21 hours 20.
Yeah, he was home before dark on the Saturday night.
That's cooked.
Wow.
Maybe he had to just go to town or something. I don't know. He had to be back.
He might have needed to get into Engineers Bar or something.
Yeah, maybe he's going to Holy Grail.
Town.
Is that still around?
Surely if you had the legs to get home early, you would, instead of spending 2 days sitting on a chamois.
Well, he didn't see you in a towel.
Well, yeah, good point. Good point. He missed out, didn't he?
I bet that guy spent some time naked, at the end or during bike races.
Surely.
Yeah, so there was two people that got home on Saturday. This dude, Charles Smart, and another guy, James Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
Both massive nudists.
Oh, no, sorry. It wasn't 21 hours moving time. That was the time of day. So he got home at 9:20 Saturday night.
I say that didn't calculate in my head correctly.
No, it didn't. That didn't make sense. Finished their own adventure, James Reedy. There's no time. Just finished his own adventure.
Yeah.
We stopped overnight, which was the smart thing to do, really. And we got up at 3 a.m., I think, and faffed around for quite a while. We were on the road by 3:50, I think we hit the road in the morning.
Yeah, 10 to 4. Yep. back into
So
it.
can you talk us through waking up at 3 a.m. and slipping into an old man's worn, sweaty, smelly pair of bibs?
Easier than you think, eh? What do you reckon,
Yeah.
mister?
It wasn't as
bibs?
hard as I thought. I really thought that I was just going to be like fully dead and like a dead man trying to get out of bed.
Stumble back onto the bike and
Yeah, no,
Do
I found it.
you think that's because he had a short amount of sleep as opposed to like a full night?
I don't know. I mean, 6 hours is not short.
Okay, that's proper sleep.
Nah, you were kind of just wanting to keep going. Like you wanted to finish it, right?
I feel
Fair
like
enough.
we were kind of in this mind. I mean, for me, I was like in the mindset where even when you were sleeping, you were still kind of in the event. It was still happening. It was just part of it. And in the way that it's timed, that time, our overall time includes our sleeping period. You know,
You're just wasting time.
Exactly. Every time you stop, you're wasting time. So, I mean, that is probably... I'll come back to that in a minute. But, yeah, day 2 was pretty sweet, really. It was tough, but shorter than the first day. And, yeah, it was pretty cool. And it was hot and all those kind of, like, classic Banks Peninsula, Bloomin' Nor'wester things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we stayed together for the morning, and then come afternoon, we sort of...
After lunch.
Didn't really regroup
after
anymore.
Breakfast. Would have been breakfast day.
After lunch. Oh, yeah, we
After
stopped
again.
about
Little River.
What time did we stop? I can't remember. Little River for a feed, a regroup.
Yeah.
Caught up with Rufus there, had a yarn.
Who had slept on the side of the road, and the boys caught him for 9 hours, and the boys caught him.
9 hours sleep. That's a man who's
just a bivvy bag. I don't think he had a bedroll or anything. He just slept on the ground.
That is a man who knows how to sleep in a ditch.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I remember stories of Rufus when he was like a junior racing downhill, doing the same thing in Queenstown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
But going to a downhill race. He was just like camping out in the bush.
Eh?
Yeah, him and Joe did the same thing up there.
Wellington. Where did whereabouts did they sleep?
Top of Long Gully.
Top of Long Gully, yeah.
That's not a great place to sleep.
No. Was not a good night
Better than
either.
Cuba Street.
From memory.
Better than Cuba Street. That's true.
So
yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we kind of pushed on, and Sam Horgan, who was with us, like, he has been a pretty elite level roadie, like semi-pro guy, really, hasn't he, Red Dog?
And he won the Melbourne to Warrnambool.
Anyway,
He's damn right he did. That's all you need to say.
And he will tell you.
And he's still exceptionally strong. And
incredible.
Like,
that's what I want to know. What was it like having the big camel sitting on the front of the pack there?
Oh, he could have done that pace all day.
Was he loving
all day. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, he would put... I mean, him and I rode a couple of climbs really quite hard. And he would put like 5 minutes, 3 minutes into me pretty comfortably. And I was rinsed at the top. And he'd wait for us all to kind of regroup. And then he'd do the same on the next climb. And then the next climb after would be like 10 minutes. And like some substantial things. So if you add up all of that time that he could put in on each of those climbs, he would be hours ahead.
Yeah.
So
he's still got it.
He's still got it, and
it's just once he moves all that muscle back from his shoulders down to his legs from his stint, like you watch, he's gonna be one of those like Masters 2, just absolute savages, just fuck.
Actually, here's a question for you as well. Did friend of the show, Malcolm Cleland, did he manage to get in a run or a swim leg at all while you're out there?
There was chat of it. There's definitely chat of it.
Did he not pack his ankle socks?
Because he was we actually with 2 triathletes. Friend of ours as well, Mike. He was triathlete.
Jeez, and they would have told you.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, both of them have the M.dot tattoo. You know, that's untrue.
How do you know someone's an Ironman athlete? They'll tell you.
They'll tell you.
They'll tell you.
Or you just look at their calf. They've got the tat. No, it was good. It was good. It was a pretty varied bunch, really.
Or just look at the dead look in their eyes.
But yeah, so Camel rode off from me at some point. And then I just never saw him again. And I went pretty hard. And I got away from Mike. And then I started to really have a really sore knee. which I've had in the past. I don't know what it is, but I was getting pretty concerned. So I had to slow right down up through the last climbs up onto Summit Road there.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I was like, actually, I'm probably going to have to pull over at some point here. And then it kind of gradually came right. Then Mike caught me again, and then the mountain bike came through down whatever the downhill was.
Rapaki. Yeah.
Roosted down Rapaki.
Did you bomb Rapaki?
Bombed
Did
Rapaki.
you finish up down Rapaki? How good.
Yeah.
That
During
like
on a Sunday midday, so there's people everywhere.
Perfect time to bomb down Rapaki.
It was heinous.
Yeah.
Hey, so how many people were taking part? I'm not going to say
Adventuring.
racing. Yeah,
I think there was
being part were breveting.
Was there 75 total?
Yeah.
And there was some of them were doing a 200k course. But a majority were
what do they call the 200k course? The Petite Brevet.
A good weekend out, or a nice weekend out, or something.
Nice weekend out. That's
right.
That sounds nice. I found a loophole because I've accidentally committed to doing it next year if Camel does walk it.
Yeah, yes. Now we're talking.
It sounds like I'm doing the nice weekend out.
I was just sitting here thinking, you know what? I'm fine with not coming to this.
No, you're coming next year.
I've decided.
Your name came up a few times, KB, of like, how much would KB be hating this at the moment? I think you'd actually like it.
Probably.
I think you'd like it. You'd be surprised. But
FOMO is a powerful thing, KB.
It was strange. It was cool because it was as much a physical challenge as it was some kind of an event. But I don't know. We had a good crew, and I think we all kind of came away like pretty keen for next year to like. Hopefully, we get good weather again because quite often they don't. But it'd be good to give it a nudge without, like, some of us would like to just ride it and just keep going and see what you're kind of made of, instead of stopping and having massive hour-long lunches and things like that.
The hour-long lunches sound brilliant.
Yeah, they were brilliant. It was a good time.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of time wasted, that's for sure.
You know what, Lester? What all the noise that you're making just screams Myla at Walker. Like, you say things like, see what you're made of, like the adventure, like, what are you doing pissing around with this 100k Walker race? You've got Myla written all over you.
It did cross my mind. While we were out there.
It did.
Tim Farmer, I know you're listening. Just enter him into the miler now. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah, let's set a condition for Lester as he's been barred from entry to anything but the miler.
Yeah. Hey, Lester, I have a question for you, mate, because I didn't catch up with you after the event.
Oh no, I didn't either.
On the way out, I think it was Pura, you stashed a chalky milk. Now,
yes, I did.
That was in the event that you did go through, and you had to. That was like your last resort when you got to Pura in the middle of the night,
the hard way.
But I'd like to know why, after sitting in the sun for 2 days, you decided that chalky milk was good to go.
So I did stash chocolate milk, but I also stashed a can of like one of them double espresso cans of espresso coffee.
Yep.
And also a Snickers bar. So we left Little River on the way back, and I got to that point and I was like, my chocolate milk, I'll just give it a nudge. So I chucked the Snickers in the pocket and the tin of coffee, and then had a mouthful of the chocolate milk. And it wasn't super warm because it had been a cold night, and it was, I don't know, maybe lunchtime. And it was...
and you didn't vomit.
Well, let me finish my story.
Yes, this is what I came here for, was these stories.
It wasn't warm, but it certainly, by no means was it cold. And it's a litre of the, one of those mammoth protein ones.
Oh, yes. God.
Sorry, it wasn't a protein. No, it was a protein. It was a protein chocolate. Chocolate and mocha.
Oh, that is a lot going on there, Lester.
So I drank it quite quickly, and then probably 10 minutes later, I was just like, oh my goodness, I feel terrible. I literally seem like I'm going to either vomit or just absolutely crap my dacks. And it probably took me...
Could have been both.
Maybe that's what happened to my knee. Maybe the chocolate milk made it to my knee and then it busted out. But I don't know. But I felt terrible after that.
That seems likely.
I kind of was like going on the proviso that like all the ultra guys are getting into drinking heaps of chocolate milk and it's like super high calorie and it's got a bit of protein and fat in there.
Sounds
it's real
bad.
good for you. You got to do some gut training or something because, man,
Even
I'll never
a
do
600
that
a 600 mil mammoth when you're not riding a bike is pretty marginal. Like that's a
Yeah, it's
lot of
hard
chalky
work.
milk in your
Yeah.
gut.
See,
again. Yeah.
it's funny.
I don't
I
think
read
I
a thing a while ago about
I'm pretty
about
sure,
chocolate
yeah, it
milk
was a
being a
litre.
good recovery.
It's
I
great
know chocolate
recovery.
milk is great recovery, but not when you're
But
riding.
yeah, so I read that and I was like, yeah, okay, no, that sounds good. But then, I went and got myself a chocolate milk after a ride one day and I was like, it's not about the recovery, it's just tasty chalky milk. Little cold chalky milk after a ride, how good
Mokey's
is
wasn't
that?
cold though. And keep in
Yeah,
mind,
mine
this is a
wasn't
guy
cold.
he had the options were there. Like it wasn't the middle of the night. He didn't have to drink it.
I've got
No,
a
but
confession to make. I can't leave the supermarket without buying a chocolate milk.
That's
What sort of
great. You
chocolate
sound
milk
like
you got?
Caleb
Always
Smith and his
recovering,
chocolate
bro.
bars.
Usually like a Lewis Road or a Puhoi.
Yeah,
Oh.
see, now
Those
this is
little
it,
ones?
isn't it? It's like,
Yeah, just
look
a
at
little
you.
bougie, just a
Little
nice little
fella.
chocolate milk.
Yeah,
Must
little fella's
be
good.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it must be nice. Yeah.
I'll take you to New World when you move down here, Chris. You can come,
Nah,
come
they
join
don't
in
have,
on a shopping
yeah,
trip.
they
You'll
don't
show
have
me
New
where to
Worlds
get the
up
good
here.
poo-hoys.
They
Yeah.
don't have New Worlds up here.
Yeah.
So what were your highlights and lowlights, Red Dog?
I just want to hear more stories like your chocolate milk one.
The low light was definitely coming out of the bonds after Cameron was like, oh, this climb's actually pretty decent.
Oh.
And like, quite nice, I think. And he was so well wrong.
We're halfway up there. And he's like, no, this isn't the climb I told Red Dog it
nah,
was.
this is not the one I thought it was. So that sucked. And then
Did Camel know where all the water spots were?
Yeah.
He did actually. Yep, he did.
He did. Okay.
Yeah. There was and then that's kind of why I was pretty tuckered by the end of that first day. And I got up to my map played up, which I worked out why it had done what it did actually. And I couldn't, my glasses blew off my face down the road and I just couldn't find the tracks that I was supposed to go down. And I was like, screw this, I'm just going to get Takara and have some food. So just went down the road instead of the track. So that was probably the low light. And then the highlight, I reckon, was on that second day, like riding around the coastline out of devotionals and stuff, like around the water. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool through there, eh?
Yeah. And then up Bossy Road, which wasn't as cool, but it was pretty awesome. And coming down actually into Little River off Bossy was sick. It was an awesome valley.
Insane, eh?
That was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So my low light was definitely my knee playing up on the second day. Fortunately, I was only like 30 odd K, maybe not even that from home.
Wasn't the chocolate milk?
Maybe it was the chocolate milk, I don't know. But whatever it was, I've had this kind of niggle before, and it was bad enough that it was a proper pain where I've had some cartilage removed. And so I was a bit
Was this from the BMX days, Lester?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah,
It was the hammock on the
this
BMX
was
days.
from-
Weird days.
This was from, it was probably partially because of that, to be fair.
from Vision Streetwear.
Back in the 70s.
Oh, Vision, yes. We did ride for Vision Street, eh? Doddsy and I.
Yeah, I have it. I was in the wrong place. It was Vision.
Yeah, but also we did have a good stint on Havoc too. We'll get to that one day. But yeah, the highlights were, man, there was a lot of interesting highlights. I don't know. I was just pretty stoked to ride out there again. Like, it's such an underrated area. Like, I can see why Camel goes out there quite a bit, but there's so many people in Christchurch who don't go out there, and it is riding wise. I mean, actually, no, the highlight for me was flying in, riding from the airport, doing the event, and then riding back to the airport, picking up my bike bag, packing my bike. So I didn't actually use a car. Oh, actually, I did. I shot down to the shop in my brother's car. I tell a lie. But apart from that, I could have been self-sufficient the whole weekend.
You're a fraud. Absolute fraud.
Could you do a less taxing version of the ride, but still, ride over Akaroa hang out, have a nice sleep, get up at a nice time, and have a nice ride home.
Yep.
That sounds like a really delightful weekend.
It would be a great. I mean, I did a trip there a year ago, which was awesome, and it was like a 60k day, and then it might have been a 70k day, and then a 60k day, and it was way cruisier. But it was still a lot of vert. Nice. I mean, every climb you do, you're doing 400 to 500 vert, basically every climb.
I'll tell you what, KV, next year, you and I can fly in on Friday, and we'll go and stay somewhere nice on Friday night. We'll get up, we'll have a casual ride over to Akaroa, like 60, 70 k's.
We'll just go as supporters, you reckon?
Yeah, we'll meet them at the burger
sound
bar.
Like you're going on a date.
And
it's not.
Oh, look, I'll take
it. Won't be as fun. It won't be as fun.
You got to fully rinse yourself and spend weeks like putting cream on your gooch for it to heal up.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing while you were doing this shit from Walker.
Oh, actually, I haven't even got to my low light yet. Did I get a low light? I can't even remember. But my low light was coming home and catching COVID and then spending a week in bed.
Oh, that's right. And that's why this episode is 4 weeks behind the actual event.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least I nearly died.
Yeah. We got him back
My first pop with COVID, it wasn't too bad, but I did have a couple of pretty grim days.
That is impressive.
First go on the spicy cough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is very impressive.
Well done.
New Zealand's healthiest man right here.
I got to the point where I thought I was immune. I was like, I'm Superman, I'm immune. I work most of my life in a place where it's just full of sick people. And
what's that? A bike shop?
A kindergarten.
No, my current life. My current life. Anyway, it took me down, but I'm just paranoid about ongoing issues, so I've been taking it easy.
Speaking of
for a while there,
speaking of your sore knees, I after the Walker, I was a bit burnt on the mountain bike, and my knees were feeling like they were in quite good shape. So I thought I'd take up running, just to really fuck them.
Yeah.
Never do that.
So have you given up on running already?
Yeah, I ran twice.
But you were running before the Walker.
Nah, I didn't do any running before the Walker. Nah, so I did 2 runs. I set my fastest 5K, and then I hung up the Nike free runs again, or whatever the shoes are that I have, and
that's fair enough.
Went back to cycling.
Hung up the Roshies.
I was
so
he's
done with running. He's done with like running altogether, or trail running. What's the deal here?
I mean, maybe we'll wait till you get down here, and maybe some running can come back. But I just had a wee stint of running because I thought I needed something else, and then I realised that bikes are just much better.
Okay, I've got a question for you. It's a cold but dry and still winter's night
running.
So beautiful.
But
okay,
hang on,
if
it's winter and it's night, you got three. Kieran's not going anywhere.
Night. No, this is what I'm getting at. This is the point of the quiz, and I'll put it all 3 of you guys. So you got 3 options, right? Because you need to do a bit of exercise tonight, and you can go and spend an hour and a half on the wind trainer, on Swift or whatever else, just punishing yourself in front of a computer screen.
Yeah,
you can go for a nice trail run with the head torch, or you can go and hit a night riding lap.
Is it wet? Is it wet?
Nah, dry. Dry as a bun.
I was really hoping there was going to be an option of going to the
one
pub.
Of those.
All right.
Oh no, you get to go. So you get to go to the pub after the ride and the run, but not the wind trainer session. After the wind trainer session, you just have to go and just chastise yourself for hating life.
Like you sit on the couch and you're all sweaty, so you sort of stick to it.
Are these all hour and a half? You got to do an hour and a half. Is that what the time is?
Yeah, all 3 is an hour and a half. Yeah,
I can't run for an hour and a half.
Your wind trainer. Oh no, so your wind trainer session is an hour and a half. Your night ride's an hour and a half, but your run is hour max.
Run.
He's taking the run.
Yeah, he is.
With the head torch. Trail run or road run?
With a head torch. Do you have a head torch? Do you own a head torch?
Nah.
Okay.
Of course not.
He doesn't
Actually,
go out
there's a Catman one in the cupboard somewhere. The kids find it every now and then, run around the house with it.
Oh yeah, my kids do that.
We'll remedy that. We'll get you a nice lightweight black diamond one, and we'll get you You watch. You're going to be.
Do I need some? Do I need some
outdoor guy?
Do I need some hokers or something?
No,
to fit it.
You'd be a Nordic guy.
No. You could. I tell you what, you could get some hokers or some Norders if you come and live in central Wellington and not actually do any sport.
And you can keep them spotless.
Are you guys going to have a run club? Is this going to be like part of the NORCA? It's like a NORCA
part of
offshoot.
NORCA.
It's just an off-road club, so it can be off-road cycling.
Or running.
It's the off-road Nelson Off-Road Club. No, Nelson Outdoor.
Does that mean we're getting into full driving?
Nelson Outdoor Recreation Club Association.
The Nelson Outdoor Recreation Club and Association.
Yeah, that's it.
That's so good. Are we taking members?
Not yet. No, it's pretty exclusive.
You got to come up with
I'd
a
like
logo
to formally
for
invite Red Dog and Lester to be honorary members.
They are honorary members.
Before you do anything, you've got to become an incorporated society and get a logo.
Right.
And then you've got to
I
get
just want to know what is the most direct route to tax breaks or some kind of like way to fund a lifestyle through a club, even if that means some kind of fraudulent activity. Like, what's the deal here?
Probably fraudulent activity, I'd say, is the only way.
So fraudulent activity is the pathway to fraudulent activity. Yeah, right. Okay.
We better not put that on the podcast. We better keep those activities off the podcast, though.
NORCA.
So if you guys are going to have a run club, though, you'll have to get like a breakfast sponsor and a coffee sponsor. That might even turn me to running.
What's Whiskey Mike's
Yum granola.
Wife's? Yum granola.
Yeah, there you go. Yum granola.
I just assume they'll be the sponsor because they're Nelson. They sponsor like outdoor events all the time. So
there you go.
They're our breakfast partner.
If you struggle to get a coffee sponsor, you can get a like massive tin of that Greg's from like Office Products or something like that.
Red Ribbon Roast.
Red Ribbon Roast.
And then when you're done with it, you can put it in the smokers area and fill it with sand.
That's right.
Yeah, and fill it with sand and dairy butts.
Yeah.
The NORCA, the Nelson Off-Road, Nelson Outdoor Recreation Association Club and Association,
something like that.
So there's an initiation ceremony. You have to drink a full cup of like extra strong black Red Ribbon Roast and smoke 3 durries.
3 durries.
Jeez.
Wow.
3 durries.
That's like a big night.
No. You smoke 1 durry and then you come back, smoke another one, and then you get up in the morning and smoke another one.
Do you not have a quick one while you're on the run?
Yeah.
Yeah, helps. It's good for you. Opens your lungs up.
The lungs.
Yeah. It strengthens your lungs apparently. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And sorry, before we go further, just quickly, because I've always wanted to be part of a club that says we are a drinking club with a mountain bike problem.
Fuck. You've already got the t-shirts made, haven't you?
100%.
Well, there's your tagline. Zesty tagline.
Oh, I can't wait.
No, it has to be an outdoor problem because remember we're an outdoor recreation club and association.
So we're an indoor club with an outdoor problem.
Yeah. we only drink in beer gardens exclusively.
Oh, that's good. We only drink expensive. We only eat homemade expensive granola and drink
Red Ribbon Roast,
craft beer and beer gardens and drink a lot of Red Ribbon Roast. And
it all lines up.
You get when you sign up for the membership. Sorry, just one other condition: you have to nominate your choice of durries. And those are the only durries you're allowed to smoke for the rest of your time in the club.
Yeah. Are they supplied as part of your membership, or do you have to buy them yourself?
So we have a supply agreement with.
It's like a subscription.
Yeah, exactly. Because one of the problems is the tobacco industry is really struggling to find sports to associate themselves with. So we're giving them a pathway to reconnect with the sporting community.
The vapes have really taken over.
And we've got everyone. So John Player Special, your Rothies, your Winfields, everything.
What about like a classic, like 50 gram, roll your own?
Oh, pouch.
Raw pouch.
Yeah.
Shit's expensive these days.
So you can be a pouch member if you're only running.
If you're only running.
Yeah.
And you have to, the one condition is you have to carry your tobacco with you on all your runs. So you have to have a bum
in a
bag.
handmade leather pouch.
Yes. Well, you'd be able to buy that on the Saturday morning market in Central Nelson, I'm sure.
It's true. You'll be able to find one.
In 2018, we did a club getaway to the West Coast, and we went and made handmade pouches for your tobacco. We ran some of the local trails, grew beards, spent a lot of time naked, and made leather pouches for your tobacco.
I can't wait to get a NORCA t-shirt.
Weekend getaway. Shit, it was good.
Sounds like a good time to me.
NORCA. Your NORCA t-shirt is just going to be an OTB t-shirt with NORCA written on it in vivid.
And vivid.
Yeah.
Speaking of OTB t-shirt that Chris is wearing right now, so I was at this mountain bike event last weekend in Australia in high country Victoria at a place called Falls Creek, which is a ski resort, which Chris is probably familiar with, being the skiing expert of the podcast.
Yeah, but, more evidence that mountain biking is just becoming summertime skiing.
So I was it was actually quite a cool event. There was no races on. It was purely just a mountain bike event. Like show up, do shuttles, ride your bike. Just mostly people over the age of like 35. There was no kids there. It was just...
Can I ask a quick question, KB? How long did it take you to have an existential crisis about being at a mountain bike event where there was no competition happening? Were you just like, what the fuck am I doing here? What is this?
Well, I was working, so I was...
that was...
Yeah. So I kind of took that part away. But the story I was getting to is I was wearing my OTB t-shirt one morning. I believe it was one morning. And this dude's like, "Whoa, I love the podcast." He was like, "I was about to take a picture of you because I just thought you were some random dude in an OTB t-shirt and I was going to send it to you. And then I realized who you were."
That's good.
And I was like,
imagine if you received a photo of yourself thinking that someone had seen someone wearing a t-shirt.
It was pretty good. I was like, this is pretty fucking cool that I'm over in Australia and some dude's like hitting me up. I was like, it was it was a pretty special moment for something that I didn't think would probably ever make it past like 3 episodes.
Did you get a name? Can we give this guy a shout out?
I didn't get his actual name, but I do know what his alias is on Instagram, and it's something I'm going to have to tell you guys off air because I can't blow him out because I put a picture up of him on the podcast story. So I'll have to save that one. But yeah, he's an alias. He's got an Instagram account. He's got a burner.
He knows who he is though, right? Like,
yeah, it's more of a meme account, I'd say. You'd call it a meme account. It's pretty good. So
you're going to have to cut it off here, KB.
Yeah.
Riding a slippery slope.
So I'll tell you guys about that in the group chat. But no, that was pretty cool. So I had a yarn to him for a bit. That was good. But yeah, I was like, this could be the future of mountain bike events because it was just like quite a lot of people up there just riding bikes. McKenna was there.
So I reckon there's something in this, KB, and I think we might have talked about it. And while we've got a captive audience, I think we start plugging this. That's what NORCA's going to host, right? We're going to host.
Yeah, we're going to have one in Nelson.
Yeah, it's just going to be mountain bike festival. But I think one of the things it's going to have is a big long table dinner. So on the Saturday night, everyone, like an Italian dinner, it'll be like a gran fondo dinner. So everyone's naked. Sorry, not that bit. And you get a pouch of tobacco, even roasted.
Now we'll have it at the Nelson Italian Club. We'll get the pizza ovens fired up, and it'll be great.
How good will that be? I can't wait.
So no, it was a pretty cool event. Got to ride the new Santa Cruz Vala e-bike. Definitely the best e-bike I've ever ridden. I'll just throw that plug in there. Can't wait to get one myself.
He's not biased at all. Like, not biased at all. Have you been?
I've ridden.
What's the name of the event, KB?
I have ridden a lot of different e-bikes, and it was much better.
What about the DJI ones? You ridden those?
There was a couple of DJI bikes up there actually.
Have you ridden
that's another story for not on the podcast as well.
Oh, I'm good for that.
Have you ridden a drone?
No, I haven't ridden a drone. It was called Ignition Mountain Bike Festival.
Remix.
Yeah. It's been around for a while. It's the remix to Ignition.
Are they flying us out next year or what?
Yeah, I was going to say, do they have a media partner?
Maybe they do now. It's called the OTB Podcast.
So they're
Fantastic.
flying you out and the rest of us to stay home.
Mitch Docker was there from Life in the Peloton, so it brings all types in.
What's the name of the event again?
Ignition.
Ignition. Just going to find Ignition on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So that was good wee trip, especially when work's paying for it and you just go ride mountain bikes and take people out. But
did they have a live band?
Yeah, Smith Street Band.
We could have a live band.
They're legit.
Yeah.
That's a legit
band that played at my wedding. They're fucking awesome.
I got probably had a couple of too many beers the night before they played, so I didn't really make it that good on the night they played.
First night
Push
fever.
the bar out a bit far, don't you?
Yeah, I pushed the boat out a wee bit.
Didn't you?
There was a pair of shoes there, and this is actually part of a segue from that story as well. I saw a gentleman with a pair of Adidas hematomas on, and I had to ask, is there a more iconic gravity shoe than the Adidas hematoma? There's only one other that springs to mind, but the iconic shoe of the 2000s for me.
Flip only.
No, see, that's the thing. I was saying, a 510, like a impact, 510 impact. That's
Absolutely.
good. That's obviously a very. But when you see that hematoma, it's a hematoma.
Yeah, it's real rank and spec.
As far as footwear goes, there's not many like long-standing iconic like mountain bike shoes as there, and the hematoma definitely, the impact definitely. It's all gone a bit generic now. But there's one shoe that I feel like had too short of a lived life, and it was the Vans SBD.
Yeah,
Red Dog, you had a pair.
Yeah, they were good too.
I had a set for a bit too. Yeah,
they were pretty sick.
You know that Nike did an SBD for the China Olympics for the BMX.
Yeah,
true.
And they looked so sick.
I ran
a Nike set.
I ran Nike road shoes for a long time.
Yeah, ACG was amongst the mountain biking for a bit, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
6.0. Nike 6.0, remember that?
Yeah, 6.0, yeah.
And they just have 510 soles on them.
Do you want to know an interesting fact? I brought some 6.0 pants years ago in the BMX days, and I found them in my drawer the other week, or maybe the other month, actually.
And they still fit.
They still fit, and they are sick pants. I love them.
What kind of pants are we talking? Like leather,
are we just talking jeans?
Are
we just calling jeans pants now?
Chaps.
No, they're pants. They're like black pants. They're like a kind of. I wear them to work.
Oh, nice.
So you just
I'm real happy.
So you found a pair of slacks in your drawer.
But
I can dig out some slacks.
They're like just a black pant, like skater dudes wear, those kind of things.
Like some dickies.
Yeah, not double knees, but yeah, very dickies.
So this is the thing, actually. There's one thing in life. I wish I was one of those people that could go for a ride in just inappropriate trousers, because I sweat too much, right? Like I overheat, and I look at dudes that get out.
What are we, dickies? They'll be hot as fuck.
But you see guys that you see
dickies,
like Americans go hiking in jeans, like.
Yeah,
I want to go for a ride in a pair of black jeans. We went riding with Horse once. We opened when he opened this flow trail that he had built in Nelson in Wellington a few years ago, and he rocks up and he's on the Mega Tower and he's got his riding shoes on and some black jeans. And it's a hot day. Yeah. I'm like, fucking, that's the definition of cool, eh? Like just trails and you.
I have a similar yarn. So we turn up in 2019. A few of us went over to ride in Tassie and did the Enduro World Series qualifier over there. And we turn up and we'd driven from the place where we were staying the 20 minutes to the Derby trails where we were to ride. And we get there and I realised that I've left my riding shorts back at the house. And of course, we're not going to drive 20 minutes there and then 20 minutes back. So there I have to ride in my skinny black bogan jeans in a very hot, humid day in Tassie, mountain biking through all those trails. With a full face, mate.
Is this the same trip that you guys went to the supermarket and were too tight to buy bags, so you just put all your groceries straight into the tray of a ute?
It probably was.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. It had to be
good.
It would have been. Yeah.
I've got a question about the jeans, Lisa. So you must have been heinously uncomfortable, but at any point when you dropped into a downhill, you're like, "Fuck, I look cool." Like, should I take some photo of this?
Not at all. There was some photos of it around actually, but I just looked, and actually we bumped into people on the trail, and you could just see them looking at me like I was weird. And I had to explain, I'm like, yeah, I forgot my riding shorts, I don't usually ride in blimmin' tight
So
jeans.
is this one of those things where you could have picked a pair of shorts up from the shelf, and you were just like, I'm not going to spend the money on a pair of shorts. I'm going to go riding in my jeans.
Oh, 100%. There's no way I'm buying pants. No way.
not at retail.
Not at retail. Not a chance.
So post-mortem on this, are you glad you stuck with the jeans? Because if you bought some shorts, you'd probably have still had them for the last while.
Yeah.
And what happened? You would have dug them out in about 10 years' time. You'd be like, hey, I found these really nice black shorts that I bought.
Like his pants he just found.
Yeah. I mean, there's some validity to that, Chris. Because I'm not one to have very many pairs of riding shorts. And in fact, Byron has a pair of my shorts that ended up in his bag on the way back from Canada.
You never get
And I was
back.
like,
No, there you go.
I now have no riding shorts. I did find I had one other pair of riding shorts, and that's about it. So
You're running lean.
In hindsight, I probably should have bought some.
You should have got the shorts.
Yeah.
You need to pitch to a New Zealand mountain biker to test some shorts.
Well, interesting you say that. I now have multiple pairs of riding shorts and some nice new pants, actually.
Do you have more pair of bibs than you do baggies?
I bet he does.
He does.
Yeah, I do.
He does, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
honestly, I mountain bike once a week if I'm lucky. So there you go. Don't tell anyone.
Guys, just a segue here. Troy Lee Designs New Zealand is currently having their Black Friday sale, and I think you'll find that OTB podcast discount code gives you even further discount, Kerry.
Does it still work? That's fantastic.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You can get a jersey for $38.
We should just let them sense check that, because stacking discounts is that's got to be chewing into their margins.
They can't be good.
Hey, don't let
like
get in while you can. Get in while you can.
Sounds like a big problem.
But hey, you know what they say, cash is king. Cash flows everything. So there you go, guys. Pretty much 50% off.
I've got another topic that this one is also part of the throwback. Chris, you have a question? You've got a hand raised.
I was just going to ask if I can just before we go into throwback, when we were talking about shorts, I was going to go into the mountain bike personalities archives with a fun fact about shorts. Friends of the show will know Bradley Choice, aka Headley Boyce.
Yes.
A man who is probably defined by his or his mountain bike style would have been defined for the longest time by his resistance to normal mountain biking shorts
and wearing bright orange dickies
all the time. So bright orange dickies and a Maxxis riding shirt.
Do you think that was part of his Maxxis deal, that he had to wear orange shorts?
No. So there's a backstory to this, and Hadley, if you're listening, or if someone's listening and talks to Hadley to verify this,
does he know what the podcast is? Probably
There's
not.
Almost no chance that Hadley's listening to this podcast, but if he is, hey Hadley, love to catch up. The story, as I understand it, is that he once did buy himself a pair of riding shorts. He bought himself a pair of Azonic shorts, and they got stolen.
They did, from the Wanaka campground. It was my first year racing, and I was down there, and all his stuff got stolen out of the washing machine at the campground.
Yeah. So story goes, they got stolen, right? All his shit got nicked, and then he did buy himself another pair of riding shorts. If I understand correctly, he bought himself a pair of Fox riding shorts, and they got stolen from a clothesline. And after that, he never went back. He was just Dickies, and he had a deal with maybe Marlene's or Maxxis, somewhere or other. And he would be riding in a black cotton Maxxis shirt and big orange logo and orange Dickies. And there's a man that could always string together like a complete looking riding kit without wearing any actual riding kit.
He was this very, very strong Maxxis ambassador back then. Actually, funny you should mention that, because up until not that long ago, there was still a framed photo of him sitting in the warehouse in the packing area at Marlene, the Maxxis importer here. There was a Hadley Boyce thanks for supporting me framed photo. I don't know where it went.
Oh, can we just get the word out to anyone at Marlene's who's listening?
Yeah,
find that framed photo because I'll pay for it. I want a Hadley Boys thank you sponsored photo.
It's got to be around there somewhere still.
I'd also take anyone who ever received a similar sort of thing from Kevin in the Aunt Betty's days. Also, actually, I'll take anything from anyone who received a similar thing from KB, even if it's related to the podcast last year.
Here's another funny story for you about that type of thing. So, years ago, when I was racing, this would have been 2007, 2008, and must have been 07. And I was looking for basically just trying to get some money together. And this was the days before GoFundMe, where you had to go knock on doors and drop off CVs to local businesses and things like that.
You couldn't
I got a sponsorship.
Couldn't get other riders to fund your holiday.
No. So I went door knocking. Port Nelson kindly paid for my insurance that year, so that was a good chunk of money. And I sent them a framed photo at the end of the year. Thanks for supporting me. Blah blah blah. Some highlights.
It's so sick.
A couple of years later, turns out I start dating the marketing person's daughter from Port Nelson, who is now my wife. And then, and then so a couple of years after that as well, Chris, my now father-in-law, he's leaving Port Nelson. He's cleaning up his office, and he comes home and he's like, "Hey, do you want this framed photo you sent me?" And he'd still had it sitting in the bookshelf. It's in the garage somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is so great. When I move down to Nelson, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to steal it from your garage.
Yeah, I'll find it. You can put it in your wall somewhere.
I want something on the wall. I'm going to have it in my office. So.
That's so sick.
Thanks very much for your. Also, does it say thanks, Chris? Because your father-in-law's name's Chris. Because if it does, I'm so stealing that. Thanks very much for your support, Chris.
I think it just says to
Port
Nelson.
Nelson, in my garage right above where I hang my bikes. We're going for a ride. It's just KB saying, "Hey, thanks very much for your support."
That would be good. So, segueing back to the segue from earlier. Whatever happened to bus stops and mountain bike tracks?
Yeah.
So this is a topic that came up last week.
So as I said this morning, can I get a clarification on this? It's when you're going down like a fast road or whatever, and then it goes up to the side and then comes back down again?
Yeah, that's it.
So I knew what a bus stop was, but I never really thought it was something worth giving a name. It's just quite a crappy feature. What's the point of it? What's the point
I kind of
of
was
it?
thinking about this after the chat went around this morning. I wonder if the name came from, if you were bombing down a gravel road or something and a bus was coming up the other way, you'd have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So you'd have to cut up the side and you'd stop.
Stop for the bus.
You'd, drop back down. Maybe, I don't know.
I reckon it's more that, an actual bus stop.
It does sort of seem like an actual bus stop.
Where there is a bus stop, it's raised. You go up to the bus stop and you come back down.
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
When there is a bus stop on a trail, it's trail goes along and then just sort of pops up onto the side and comes back down. But you don't see them these days.
No, they're gone.
No.
I think it's because we don't really ride down farm tracks anymore. That was
there's
my
one
theory.
at Mount Vic. There's one at Mount Vic at the bottom of Hippies.
Where's the Mount Vic bus stop?
So you go down the first section of Hippies and then you pop out on the road and then you can go up and down the bus stop and then you can go into V&A. That's a bus stop.
Hold on, I'm thinking.
So you know what I reckon it used to be? I'm thinking back to one of the first tracks I ever raced
here.
Bus
stop?
It's a bus stop. Close enough.
Oh yeah, that is a bus stop. 100%. Sorry, KB. Yeah, that is a classic bus stop.
A couple of the first tracks I ever raced here in Nelson. Lester, you probably raced the one that finished down in the dual slalom track on the centre of New Zealand.
Yeah,
it's 99 maybe.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I would have been there.
Yeah,
was that the one that we looked at the other day when we were riding KB? We went and found the old taping and some old archaeological dig berms.
Potentially, that wasn't just the other day. That could have been many years ago. It's on the centre of New Zealand.
Yeah, by the dirt jumps.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We did. We walked up it a little bit.
We did an archaeological dig. There was like a berm that was grown over. It was literally like finding like a temple in the middle of the fucking bush.
It was a time capsule.
Yeah, and there was
you can still see the shape of it.
So it says, "Here lies Kieran Bennett, Nelson's favourite son. We miss him.
Come home. We miss you."
Yeah.
So anyway, the top of that track was all just like grassy farm track, and that had several bus stops on it, and that was the first track I ever raced. And but I think what they'd actually done is just like, where sheep scatter their way like up off roads, they just sent us up those, put a bit of tape on it, and then just drop back off. So I reckon that was the origin of the bus stop. That's my theory.
Do they exist in other parts of the world, or is this a New Zealand thing?
Maybe it's just a Kiwi thing. If there's anyone... No, actually, I was talking to... I feel like this topic came up with one of my Australian colleagues last weekend. I think that's where it came from. What happened to bus stops.
Basically New Zealand,
really?
though.
Yeah, we're pretty close to each other.
Can we put a call out to the listeners? Send in photos of what you believe is the most iconic New Zealand bus stop. There's got to be some around. What's your favourite?
It's got to be.
Definitely one in Dunedin.
So they do have them in other parts of the world. In Italy, they have them. They're called Fermata dell'autobus, which translates to bus stop.
Do you ride them on a gran fondo?
Yeah, naked. Yeah, so they do have them. And interestingly, they have them in France as well. They're called arrêt de bus, which is bus stop.
You can catch a bus there. Hey, it also makes sense. But speaking of archaeological digs, so we're working on...
Where are you finding archaeological digs? Are those like archaeologists that you don't like, or just like you digging up dead people with dicks? Sorry.
So anyway,
I digress.
We, myself and a couple others in the mountain bike club here, we're working on reinstating the old Fringe Hill Devil's Tail downhill track. The original and still the best downhill track. Yeah.
Mean.
So I went up there. It's been logged many years ago, 2000, maybe 2008, 2009. It got logged, replanted. It's got reasonably high trees, reasonably tall pines on it now, to the point where it's all kind of dead gorse and that underneath, but you can make your way through. So we went up and did myself and Jamie from the club went up and did a walk down to go and scope out the track. And we found several sections of archaeological race tape from the last national champs that was there in 2007. Wow. We're like walking down and I'm like, holy shit, there's a bit of race tape. Like it had Mountain Bike New Zealand printed on it still. You could...
Did you tape it off? Like did you... Like, what do you do there? Do you get, like, DOC have to come in? Like Historic Places Trust New Zealand have to come and, like, verify it or something? Because you can't just sweep that away.
And do you know what my favourite part of material I found was the classic, really, really thin, like, neoprene padding that people used to put on trees. Like that really thin. It's like not even 10. Yeah. It's like maybe 5-6 mil thick. I found some of that. Rubber. Yeah, I found some of that lying in the ground, like in the dirt as well, with a bit of race tape, and I was like, "Wow, this is like I've just opened up a time capsule."
I have a question for you. As part of NORCA, KB, are we opening a mountain bike museum, and two of the founding artifacts in the museum are going to be archaeological relics from this trip? Like we're just going to have a section of old race tape.
I was hoping you might be suggesting we go and like carefully dig a berm out, keep the berm in one piece, and transport that to the museum.
We'll go and find that old berm, the one that we were looking at the bottom of centre of New Zealand. Yeah, and we'll just go in there with like 30 litres of plaster cast, like plaster of Paris. We're going to
cast it like
a
dinosaur.
We'll make a cast of a berm, and then we'll display that in the entry to the museum.
The only thing we got for opening is a beer. I'd be surprised if it got much further.
A beer? Yeah, we're open beer.
Yeah. If we're casting berms, do you guys remember in Rotorua there's on the Dipper track now, the big left-hand berm?
Yeah.
There's a few like cables going into it on Dipper. Anyway, very, very iconic.
Is that in the family area?
Yeah, it is now. But it used to be like iconic piece of track. You'd go.
That's one of the originals, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But this berm has been there. I mean, I would have first ridden that thing probably when it was first built in, I'd say 94, maybe 95. And I've ridden that thing probably at least every 2 months since then.
No way.
Like, it's pretty crazy now. And I take my kids on it, and they're like loving this berm. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I was riding this thing when I was like 14.
Wow.
I can't wait to make the coffee book Great Berms of New Zealand. Great Berms of New Zealand mountain biking. And there's just going to be a picture of Lester.
It's definitely
Real
no...
salty standing next to this berm, just going into immense detail about, well, I actually first rode this berm.
I'd be interested to know if it's like,
it's well
still
crafted.
got the same dirt. If it's still the same dirt there, or if over the years it's eroded enough and been replaced with new dirt that it's kind of like a trailer, you know? You have the same trailer, but the frame's been replaced and all the wood on it's been replaced.
Yeah, at what
Same
point is it
axle-
no longer the
axle's been
same
replaced.
berm?
Exactly.
Wow.
All right.
So
These
there's
are the things we
there's
think
sections up like Arapuki, which is a bit like that, but they logged it and there's not really anything
No,
left.
there's
But the
nothing left,
climbing track, right? Backtrack that's iconic.
It isn't.
It's like finding old dirt jumps. Like there's old dirt jumps in Palmy that we built when we were teenagers that are still there and still overgrown. You can walk through them and you're like, that's an archaeological dirt jump. Like that'll be in the Great Berms of New Zealand coffee book.
Survived the flood and everything.
Yeah, when your dirt jumps are surviving floods, that's legit, right?
I've got those ones on the Wanganui stop banks are still there.
Oh, yeah, from the Pusher days.
I think they're gone, eh? Yeah.
They'd be pretty iconic. Yeah, they would have been washed away because they were basically made of silt anyway.
They'll be in the Great Berms of New Zealand.
We had the Handby trails, which were next to the Mai Tai River, which have been washed away so many times because they were basically just made of sand.
Yeah.
There was not much substance to them.
KB,
right.
you sorry, not to drag this out even further, but
let's just make it a bit longer.
A berm for the Great Berms of New Zealand coffee table book. What would be your berm of choice?
Oh, I mean, probably the most archaeological berm that still exists in Nelson would have to be something on Kaka Hill. As one of the oldest standing trails around here now at this point, I'd say, that hasn't really been rebuilt. So maybe that first left-hand berm as you come out of the start gate of on the Kaka Hill downhill track.
Yeah, that's definitely in the first couple of pages of the Great Berms of New Zealand cocktail book. I'm just going to give you one shot as well, Miles. Thanks.
I would go that set of berms before the rock drop on the Coronet DH. You know how you do like the tight berms and then you go off the rock?
And they've just got deeper and deeper every year.
Yeah, I'd put that set in. Yeah, good set.
Those are Great Berms of New Zealand, 100%.
We might be onto something here. I could see it'd be a good coffee table book, actually.
It'd be
international,
international
very
berms
niche.
of
mystery.
Real niche.
Very niche, just like this podcast.
I'm going to give it a nod, Jay. Like the great berms of New Zealand mountain bike.
Hey, did you guys see Aaron Franklin emerge on Facebook this week? Speaking of archaeological,
we've definitely
Aaron
kept
Franklin,
the best for last.
Who made was the creator of Laha. There was a very, very unique Laha, which apparently turns out is a one-off up for sale.
Bike?
Well, so it's like a trail bike, and it's up for sale on some dude's selling it on Classic Retro and Old Shit Facebook page. Next thing, Aaron Franklin pops up claiming that the bike was stolen and that it owes him a lot of money. And I was like, if there's anything more on brand for Aaron to show up and start accusing people on Facebook after no one's heard from him for years.
That's incredible. Does that mean is he sitting there watching that group, or did someone tag him?
Oh, someone was like, Pat Little will know about it, seeing as he's the only guy who actually worked with Aaron. And then Aaron chimes in, I'm here now. It's a one-of-a-kind prototype, stolen. David's been looking after it since he got caught with a bit of unpaid bills when the riders got conned by an investor. The best bit is his next one, and Pat Little hardly worked with me. He was a hanger-on and a spoilt little SpongeBob. Mr. Octopus that also hasn't been paid for the bikes he's been hoarding. And then Pat Little chimes in, Yeah, right, says the bloke who didn't pay for the boat I sold him. This is, it made my day. It made my day reading that thread this morning.
So much to unpack there. Like
the boat.
First of all, what kind of an investor is conning mountain bike riders?
It's probably the investor that Wynn has talked about when they went racing that national series with some dude's credit card. Him, Tim Nelson, Nathan Rankin, and they just went and spent a bunch of money on someone's credit card going to the races.
So
good.
Yeah.
Was that when Cam was on there?
Nah, this is like 02. This is early.
I remember going with.
That's
Cam
when they went
when
racing
he
New
was-
Caledonia, wasn't it?
That's a whole nother story to unpack in itself.
The
That Oceania's.
I don't know anything about that, but that's one for Byron, I would have thought.
Yeah, it is.
Very good.
That was a very entertaining start to the Thursday, but we've done well. We've got back together.
It's the finish to the Thursday, Kieran, not the start to the Thursday.
Oh no, the start to the Thursday was getting sent those screenshots and then going in and reading through the thread itself. Yeah. No downhill talk this week because there's not much to talk about. But keep your eyes peeled. I'm sure we'll have some.
We need to talk about some downhill soon. Also, the New Zealand season's about to start.
It is, and there's a few rumours that I'm sitting on. There's a couple that I can't really let out at this stage.
Already started.
No one listens to the show. Just let it out.
One I'll leave. I'll sign off. English Matt Walker, is going to Trek. Sign off with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Trek Factory.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Good
I thought
move.
they were going all
Good
America.
move.
no, they're not going any America.
I
The
think
down team anyway.
the XC
Goodness
team, I
me.
believe, is North America.
All America.
focus.
All American.
They're going very un-American in the downhill team.
So that's
Yes.
interesting. Do you think they're going like full Europe for downhill, full America for XC, and splitting the difference?
I would say after Brexit, they are going no Euro for the downhill team either, since England is no longer part of Europe. So,
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you think it's political?
yeah, probably.
Must be.
They're just
I think
making a
it's-
stand.
I think it's something to do with Trump, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really taken their stands.
Right, we need to sign this off before we offend someone. So it's probably a good time to.
Before,
Oh yeah, we've probably offended multiple people, but we can't go into politics. That'll definitely offend someone. If you've made it this far, bloody hell, you have done well. Very niche episode this week, boys, but great to get back together and chat with you guys. And Chris is going to just throw something else in here to drag it out a bit more.
I'm sorry. I feel like we've overlooked this. I feel like we need to congratulate someone or an organisation. I think we need to congratulate Maxxis Tyres for landing a deal with the OTB podcast.
Yeah, for them for landing a deal with us, it was very impressive of
100%.
them.
I mean, that's got to be one of the finest pieces of corporate manoeuvring you'll see is for them to be able to land that deal, and also like the long term vision. Like signing a sponsorship with KB over 10 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. So there's been a 20-year run they've made at this deal. Like, it doesn't get
They
much
knew it
more
was-
vision than
they-
that. Like,
They knew it was coming back in 2005. They knew it
Like
was.
when
They
they-
knew this podcast would
That's
happen
it.
eventually.
when they were
Yeah.
casting or creating the casts, the molds for the Minion, back then they were going, right, here's how we're going to do it. Sign KB now, and I promise you it'll pay dividends in about 20 years' time when he launches a podcast.
You imagine
Someone
you
knew.
imagine an OTB hot patch on the side of a tyre. Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, we could only dream.
100%.
Could only
And,
dream, but hey, for now, very, very happy to have Maxxis on board, New Zealand's tyre of choice.
Thanks,
And with
Maxxis.
that, we'll see you next week.
All right.